Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. As service is about to commence, could I ask those of you with mobile phones to switch them off, put them to silent, in respect to Paul's service today. We do apologise for the tardiness of the service. The one before us was a little bit over time, but we'll catch up and we'll take our time and give him the service he richly deserves. Could I ask those of you who can, please be upstanding?
In your side, I'll wait for you. Sleight of hand and twist of fate, on a bed of nails she makes me wait, and I wait without you, with or without you. Storm, we reach the shore. You gave it all, but I want more. And I'm waiting for you, with or without you. With or without you, I can't live. With or without you.
Welcome, everyone. We're here today to remember, to honour and to celebrate the life of Paul Francis Judd, better known to many of you as Juddy, and I welcome you all here today. My name's Paul Young and I'm a celebrant, and from myself and from all of us at Olsen's Funerals, our condolences. Paul's family and friends. But I'd also like to welcome those of you that are watching on, family and friends wherever you are, both here and overseas. In particular, Paul's grandchildren Carter and Lando in Queensland, as well as Vesna's family in Germany and Croatia, and other members of the Judd family who are watching on interstate. Thank you for your love and your support at this very difficult time. When tomorrow starts without me, and I'm not there to see, The sun should rise and find your eyes all filled with tears of me. I wish so much you wouldn't cry, the way you did today, whilst think of the many things we didn't get to say. I know how much you love me, as much as I love you. And each time you think of me, I know you'll miss me too. So when tomorrow starts without me, don't think we're far apart. For every time you think of me, I'll be right there in your hearts. I just want to make a very short statement on behalf of the family. On Monday, the 3rd of February, Paul had a massive stroke at home and was taken to Sutherland Hospital for tests, then transferred to the Prince of Wales Hospital on life support. His family were with him every day to say their goodbyes, but he never regained consciousness. Paul passed away peacefully on Thursday, the 6th of February, with his family by his side. But you know, that last couple of days of Paul's life doesn't define him. There are so many wonderful memories to be shared. And so to start the memories, I'm going to invite his brother Greg to please come forward.
I can hardly comprehend this moment in my life, this moment in my family's life. It's heartbreaking that I've lost my big brother Paul. He was our family's protector. He was always on our side. He loved his 3 daughters without reservation. My last conversation with Paul, we discussed our children. He discussed how proud he was of his girls, how successful they were, how loving they were, and how much they were the light of his life. I discussed the same about my children. So our last conversation was one of love and beauty, success. I was so proud of Paul. He fought against a lot in his life, and he was a success. He was a success beyond my wildest dreams. As children, Paul and I, one of my fondest memories was we got a mini bike off our parents for Christmas. We were very young. And within, I would say, a week or so, Paul had taken the mini bike apart. It was everywhere. And I don't think he ever got it back together again. So I never got to ride that mini bike again. And I quite resented him for it, but his skills with his mechanics was just beyond. He was sought after. He was a success in his field. He became an engineer. He did just wonderful things with his trade. He was sought after. People have even told me in the week since his passing how much he's going to be missed, how skilled he was. I'm going to miss him as a brother. His family's all here. He was born on the 30th of May, 1960. He was 22 months older than me, and he was almost my big brother. He could do anything to me he wanted. He was a bugger. But nobody else was allowed to do anything to me. He was also my biggest protector. He was just, everybody loved him. He was a beautiful guy. Look at the people here today. It's amazing to see how much love he gave and how much love you're giving back. It's amazing. It's a tribute to him. Of course, we all still wish he was here because he was a rogue. He had very, very particular opinions. He stood by them. He was a man of principle. I loved him dearly. My brothers, my sisters, my brother, my sisters loved him dearly. His children loved him dearly without reservation. His first wife, Michelle, brought 3 beautiful children into his life, and they remained friends till he parted. His current wife, Vesna, is heartbroken, and my heart goes out to her. She'll miss the man in her life. She expressed to me how much he meant to her. She's heartbroken, and I can't fill the gap for her. He left an amazing legacy, and I'm very proud to have called him my brother. I'm very proud that you're all showing how much love and how much of a legacy he left with the people in his life. Thank you.
And now to tell us a little bit more about her brother, I'm going to invite you, Kath, to please come forward.
Wow, there's so many people here. Thank you for coming. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. For those who've travelled, we appreciate you. I'm Catherine, I'm Paul's sister. But Paul's always called me Catalina, which I loved. Today I stand here to express our family's deep love for Paul, a man with an enormous heart who was so full of life and who left us way too early. Paul Francis Judd was born on May the 30th, 1960, the cherished firstborn son of Robert Francis, Bob and Murray Ellen Judd. He grew up in a loving family alongside his older sisters, Kerry and Sue, and later he welcomed his younger siblings, Greg, Chris, myself, Kylie and our cousin Keith, who also joined our family. From the moment he could move, Paul was on the go. Mum always told us that Paul started walking at just 9 months old. But really, he ran everywhere. Keeping up with him was a challenge. Kerry remembers how at just 2 years old, Paul would climb the side gate and disappear, leaving Mum frantic. He'd eventually return home with a huge grin, saying, "I just had a great time, Mum." It didn't stop there. At 3 years old, he discovered the milk money on the front steps and took himself on an adventure at the local shop to buy Dad some cigarettes. At 4, he went missing. At 4, he and Greg went missing for over an hour. When Mum finally found them, Paul's response was casual. "I just took Greg for a walk to the park. We played on the swings." He never understood what all the fuss was about. Paul was a curious, adventurous and generous soul. When he was in kindergarten, he stuck a coloured bead so far up his nose that Kerry, who was only in year 2 herself, was asked by his teacher to take him to the doctor. The doctor told him, "Paul, your nose is for breathing, not for storing things." Once removed, he and Kerry skipped back to school, happy and hand in hand. On a family trip to Canberra when he was 7 or 8, Paul disappeared onto his skateboard. Hours later, he turned up, covered up in dirt, gravel rash on his knees and elbows scraped, but grinning from ear to ear. "I'm all right," he said proudly, before excitedly describing the biggest hill ever that had launched him off his skateboard. During his teenage years, I was still very young, but us 3 younger kids witnessed Paul's late night, early morning adventures. At 3 a.m, the sleeping Judds were often woken up to Paul's cook-ups after a night out with his friends, and he would invite them all back home and make them bacon, eggs and toast. Mum and Dad weren't impressed, but he always got away with it. Paul's love for adventure never failed. On one of his many trips home from Bali, his suitcase, along with his dirty washing, was full of prezzies for Mum. He bought some sarongs and wood carvings for her, plus a caseload of Indonesian flying, crawling weevil things. His actual bag was swarming with the things, and Mum couldn't get rid of them. No border security back then, I guess, and Paul didn't have a care in the world. For his 21st, everyone dressed up and Paul was a silver-faced, green-haired alien. His friends came from everywhere to celebrate with him, and later that night they chucked Paul in the pool. Poor Mum was so stressed that he would get hurt, but Paul just laughed it off. He laughed it. I visited him in Cronulla, and as we sat down for lunch, he got a distant look in his eyes. "Catalina, I'll be back. The surf looks too good." And off he went. I waited 2 hours before giving up and heading home. No biggie. That was just Paul chasing the waves, completely at peace in the ocean. Despite his wild side, Paul was never materialistic. His double pluggers, his surfboard and the ocean was all he needed. Paul had an undeniable passion for surfing. The ocean was his sanctuary and the waves were his playground. From a young age, he was drawn to the water, spending hours perfecting his technique. Cronulla Beach was his second home, away from home, a place where he truly felt at peace, whether it was the early morning surf before work or catching the last waves of the day at sunset. Paul lived for those moments on the water. He loved sharing his passion with his daughters and grandchildren, teaching them how to read the waves and respect the ocean. Paul was a true local, known by so many in Cronulla, and he always had time for a chat with a mate or a stranger from any walk of life. When he wasn't in the water, Paul could often be found riding his bike around Cronulla, soaking up the sun and stopping to talk with friends. He had a way of making people feel that they were the most important person in that moment, whether it was an old mate or someone he just met. The streets of Cronulla were his domain. He knew every shortcut, every corner and every friendly face. He loved nothing more than taking in the ocean views and chatting away for hours. His warmth and openness meant he was never short of company, and he made an impression on everyone he met. Let's fast forward a bit to his 20s, when Paul met and fell in love with Michelle, and together they raised 3 amazing, strong and beautiful daughters, Bianca, Samantha and Alicia. He loved his girls with his whole heart, and they loved him back just as fiercely. In time, Paul became Pop to his beloved grandchildren, Cooper, Carter, Levi, Mila and Lando. He adored teaching them to fish, crab hunt and enjoy the simple things in life. Paul's niece Sarah shared this with me, Sue's daughter, shared a memory that perfectly captures his mischievous, playful nature. He once took Sarah, Sam, Bianca and Alicia camping at Lake Conjola. While driving us, "Who wants Maccas?" and the kids cheered, "Yeah, cool." Paul veered into the drive-through only to veer straight back onto the highway without stopping, laughing his head off while the kids were absolutely devastated. Paul had an incredible sense of humour, one of a kind. He once put exactly $9 in a Christmas card for Vesna just to see her reaction. He gifted me a George Thorogood album for my 9th birthday when I was expecting Michael Jackson. He thought it was hilarious when I burst into tears. He didn't know why. I mean, seriously, who buys their 9-year-old sister a record with some dude singing Bad to the Bone? And even recently he was buying ridiculous items off Temu, like fur hats, and sending Chris giggly texts about their top quality. But beyond his humour, Paul was also a deep thinker, an incredibly hard worker and a perfectionist in his trade. When Paul finished school, he got an apprenticeship with Qantas as a fitter and turner, and the cogs started turning from there. He even patented an invention improving efficiency in his field. He never did anything half-heartedly. He gave it his all. Paul's love for his family was unwavering. Mum and Paul idolised each other. While Mum never had a favourite, they had a very close bond. As you know, we lost our beautiful Mum. During COVID, and you only had to hear Paul's eulogy to understand the love and respect that he had for her mum. Mum loved Paul endlessly. Paul always held his cigarette in that signature way, effortlessly between his fingers, taking slow drags as he listened intently or shared one of his many stories. He treasured his long talks with our dad. They had a lot in common as they were both mechanically minded, and Paul took her dad's death very hard. Paul also has a deep and enduring love for Vesna. She was his love, his soulmate. Their bond was something truly special. It was built on real love and affection, mutual respect and laughter. They truly had a deep connection. Paul adored Vesna's kindness and strength, her cooking and her comfort. Paul's love for Vesna was evident to all who knew her. She was his partner in every sense. And he cherished every moment they had together. You only had to look at Paul to know how happy he was. You only had to look at Vesna's face to see how much she adored him. They shared many adventures, including an extended 5-month trip to Bali where they embraced the culture, the people and, of course, the surf. His generous spirit extended beyond life itself. His decision to be an organ donor gave others a second chance at life and also gave us the precious gift of time to be with him, talk to him, hold his hand and finally say our goodbyes. That final act of kindness perfectly sums up who Paul was. Paul's family and his friends will always remember him by his good looks, his sun-kissed skin and that signature Paul's smile, which made his green eyes crinkle and sparkle with mischief. My heart aches with so much sadness, and I have found it hard to come to terms with losing my big brother. I will continue missing him for the rest of my life. Our family is in deep shock and we're also unprepared. He left us so suddenly. My heart goes out to Paul's daughters, to Vesna, to my siblings, to our kids and all of his wonderful friends. Paul, you lived an amazing life. You have passed from sight but never from our hearts. You are truly one of a kind. Sorry. You're kind. I can't see. You're kind. Hang on, I'll just put these back on. Your kindness, your humour, your adventurous spirit and your deep love for family will live on in all of us. We will miss you for the rest of our lives. Surfing was a way of life for Paul, and his spirit will forever be carried on the rhythm of those waves. Every crash of the surf and every salty breeze, every sunrise over the water will remind us that Paul's still here watching over us. I've got a poem here by a man called Mark Gregory. Beneath the painted sky of amber hue, a joyful surfer bids his last adieu. As the sun retreats with sombre sigh, the board now still rests beneath darkened sky. The waves shall never ease, they ebb and flow, but this one's time has come, he now must go. Into the quiet swell of the midnight sea, his laughter echoes wild and true and finally free. Rest easy, my brother. May the waves be perfect, the winds be gentle, and the ride never ending. Ride the waves, Paulie. We love you. Are you all right, John?
You know, with Paul's passing, it's only natural that you be sad. But to match that grief, you have those memories of those times that you shared together. Just as Kath said, you know, it's little things that will bring him back to you. It's sitting out the back and waiting for that perfect wave to arrive. Or maybe just simply flicking through a photo album. It's a get-together with your family. It's a get-together with your friends. Sitting down at the pub and just having a beer, or standing out in the smoking area and having a chat to your mates. It's watching the Sharkies run around next weekend in Vegas and cheering them on just for Paul. It's that certain place, it's that certain time of the year. Memories come back to us, the smell of an aftershave. But more often than not, memories will come back to us in the words or the tune of a song. Because it doesn't matter how old we are, we can become teenagers again by listening to a tune. And you know, on their own, all those things are small and insignificant. But then you put those little things together with memories of someone no longer with us, and it's the little things we hold on to the most. You know, those conversations that you've had with Juddy, they become more meaningful. Those places that you've been together, they take on more significance. So make sure over the coming days and weeks and months and even years, you share those memories with your mates, with your friends, with the family. Because they say as long as somebody's spoken about, they're never truly gone. I'm sure there are thousands and thousands of stories out there to be told about Paul, to be told about Juddy. Share them. And whatever you all do, don't bear your grief on your own. And now to tell us about their dad, I'm going to invite you, Bianca, Sammy and Alicia, to please come forward.
I'm going to go first.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm okay, I just need some space.
Okay.
Sorry. Hello everyone. If you don't already know who I am Paul's eldest daughter, Bianca. Firstly, I would like to thank you all for coming here to pay your respects to my dad. I sat and I contemplated, what would I like to say about my dad? So many memories. And then I thought, what is something that we can all connect with? In an overview, I would say he was a little weird, but in the best way possible. He would do and say some of the weirdest things, but we all love that about him. He embodied authenticity, and there's nothing more enigmatic than an authentic human. He was always very creative. You never knew what he was going to come up with next. His jokes were always a little different to the standard joke. He just loved to make people laugh. I remember one of the last conversations we had. He was talking about work. He said a guy at his work had quit his job on the spot. He said to the manager, "Mate, I know cats and dogs that are smarter than you." And then he walked out. I thought that was a pretty good saying. We had a laugh about that. We continued to conversate. Little did I know at that point that would be one of the last stories he would ever share with me. And what I would do just to hear him tell it again. At one stage, he went through a phase of putting fish on the end of every word. I remember one day he said to me, "Hey Bianca, have you seen that new movie with Nicole Kidfish and Hugh Jackfish?" And I just started laughing. I was just like, I feel like that pretty much sums up his sense of humour in a nutshell. He was very witty, funny, and intelligent. He loved to get a rise from those around him. One of the things I'll miss the most about him was his sense of humour. Losing someone you love brings on so many raw emotions. The grief and confusion becomes almost unbearable. Even right now, it feels like it's not real. It's so hard to process. But even with this loss, there have been positives. One, it gives you a new appreciation for life. Honour your body, honour your health, honour your mind, honour your soul, and most of all, honour those you love around you. Two, my family. The love and support you have given is just amazing. We would not have been able to get through this without you, with all of you. You're beautiful, and I love you all. Three, my wonderful friends who have come today to show their support for me and love for my dad. He loved you girls, they're outside. He loved you girls, he always had a special place in his heart for you. Four, my mum and sisters, we are all in this together. I love you and I'm so grateful for you. And Vesna, I love you. My dad loved you. Thank you for being there for him and loving him so deeply. There are no actions or words that I could say that will make this okay for you. I know this would be so hard for you. I don't like to think of this as a goodbye, as I believe he lives on in spirit and in our hearts. So now I feel it would be appropriate to have a cheers fish for Paul Francis Judd Fish to celebrate his life. Dad, I love you, and thank you all for coming.
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha. I'm Paul's middle child. My dad would call me his favourite. He would. I was really connected with my dad. I adored my dad.
Just breathe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for being here today to honour my dad. It's hard to put into words what he meant to me, but I know one thing for sure: he was my favourite person. He wasn't just my dad, he was my friend, he was my guide, he was my greatest source of wisdom and comfort. My dad always made my children and I feel loved, adored and safe. When I was in hospital after I'd given birth to my babies, my dad was by my bedside every day. He was my protector and always made sure I was okay. And at times it really didn't feel okay, but having my dad there meant the world to me. I've always had this thought in my head. Sorry, that if anything goes wrong, it's okay because I've got my dad. And to be honest, the loss is like nothing I've ever experienced. I have so many beautiful memories as a child thanks to my dad. He took us camping with our cousins, endless days at the beach, New Year's Eve parties with the family, and my favourite was skiing at Thredbo. He was so adventurous, so fun, adventurous and funny, and us girls, his daughters, were the apple of his eye. Your grandchildren are going to miss their walks along the beach looking for crabs with their poppy. Cooper is going to miss seeing his biggest supporter at his rugby games. Neil and Levi will miss their ice cream at the beach and their lollies at Cooper's games. I will miss our chats and just being in your presence because you had such a calm and beautiful energy. Losing my dad is the hardest thing I've ever faced, but I find comfort in knowing that his words, his lessons and his love will always be with me. Dad, thank you for your love, your wisdom, and for every single conversation we shared. I will miss you more than words can say, but I will carry you with me always. And I'll really miss just looking at his beautiful eyes and just having him look at me. And I just miss, I'll miss this. Rest peacefully, Dad. I love you so much.
I'm the youngest of the three. Dad, I never would have thought that at age 34, I would be standing here today saying goodbye. I'm not sure I can find the words just to describe how special you are to me. I will start with my favourite parts that made you so special. Your cheeky smile, your ability to make anyone laugh and feel good in your presence, your silly dance moves, your quirky sense of humour, your ability to make everyone and anyone feel valued and like they're important and cared for with no judgment. Your fun, crazy spirit was a huge part of you that made you who you are, and I've really admired that about you. Our last day spent with you was around Christmas time last year, and that day spent with you fishing off the jetty was by far one of my favourite days in Sydney, and I'll cherish those memories forever. You were a simple man who found pleasure in simple things in life. You were humble with a huge heart, and you always gave your time and presence, and some of my most precious memories were with you. You helped shape me into the woman I am today, and if there is one thing that you have taught me, it's to work hard, dream big, love big, and always be my true, authentic self. You are so loved, Dad. My heart aches for you, but I know if you could speak to me, you would tell me, it's got to be okay, doll. Keep going. Fly high, beautiful soul. Until we meet again. Love you so much, Dad.
I'd like to invite Paul's niece and goddaughter, Amanda, to please come forward.
Good morning. For those who don't know me, I'm Amanda, Sue's daughter. Sue is Paul's older sister, which makes Paul my uncle and my godfather. I've had the privilege of knowing him my whole entire life. When I think of my Uncle Paul, so many wonderful qualities come to mind. I think we can all agree that he has one of the kindest souls to ever have walked this earth. His calm voice, gentle mannerisms, and easygoing nature made him such a comforting presence. He had a way of making everything feel lighter in difficult times. Paul was also one of the hardest workers I knew. I always pictured him in his work overalls, boots, dirty and greasy, and it's a testament to his dedication. And of course, he was funny. As a kid, I thought he was absolutely hilarious. We all did. Some of my best childhood memories involve Uncle Paul. Whenever Bianca, Sam and Leash would fly down from Queensland for school holidays, it meant fun times ahead for me and my little sister Sarah, and unlimited street paddle pops, even for breakfast. Every holiday was an adventure. During those years, Paul had a partner called Jenny. She was the organiser. She made sure we had sunscreen on, especially Alicia and Sarah, because they would burn. She made sure the car was packed, the esky was filled, the tickets were bought. Thanks to them, we had the best holidays, camping at Lake Conjola, Kyola, boat days, water skiing, kneeboarding, ski biscuits down Port Hacking and down the coast. We went to Luna Park, Australia's Wonderland, had sleepovers, Spice Girl dance-offs. Sam was Baby Spice, Alicia, Sporty. What were you, Bianca? I can't remember. I think I was always crazy or scary. You didn't want to be scary. And Paul would always laugh and film us. He thought it was hilarious. And we had countless days in Nan and Pop's pool at Cronulla Beach and Gunnamatta. Every holidays, the girls left us with parting gifts, knits. We shared everything together, including the head lice. Bianca, Alicia, you were the main culprits. Paul, Dad, Jenny and Nan spent a fortune on shampoos to get rid of these knits, and eventually my dad, Rick, had had enough. He bought the legendary Roby comb, a device that essentially electrocuted the knits out of our hair, and every day we were all Roby combed. Paul had a very unique sense of humour. He thought it was absolutely hilarious to never call us by our names. We were called his cockroaches. So everywhere we went, he said, "Let's go, my cockroaches. This way, my cockroaches." It was extremely embarrassing, but again, he thought it was absolutely hilarious. Another funny moment with Uncle Paul is when he couldn't find a car park. That was no problem. He pulled up, turned on the hazard lights, popped the bonnet, we would jump out, grab hot chips, go for a swim down the beach, jump back in the car like nothing had happened. No park, no worries, all sorted. There was another time he made me his driving instructor. Because you're the oldest cockroach, Amanda, you have to sit in the front seat. He handed me Jenny's hat and Jenny's sunglasses. He said, "Now, when you're sitting in the front seat and you're talking to me, use your hands." I thought it was very odd, but I just did what I was told, and realised later when hopping out of the car that he'd placed L plates at the front and the back. So no licence, no worries. And 14, I unknowingly was his driving instructor. There are just so many countless memories I have of my uncle. He was a man who lived life on his own terms, with kindness, humour and a love for adventure. He had a way of making everything feel more exciting, more fun and more full of love. To Bianca, Sam and Alicia, your dad loved you so much. You were the light of his life, and I know he was so incredibly proud of you all. I can't begin to imagine the loss you're feeling, but please know that you are not alone. We are all here for you, always. And we say goodbye to Uncle Paul. I hope you find the comfort in knowing that his love, laughter and spirit will always be with you. Also to Vesna, I know how much you meant to Paul and how much he meant to you. It brings comfort to know that he had someone by his side who cared for him and was grateful for the love you shared with him. I came across a quote by an unknown author, and when I read it, it made me think of Uncle Paul. We were never meant to live life accumulating stuff. We were meant to live life simply, enjoying the experiences of life, the people of life, and the journey of life, not the things. And that's exactly how he lived his life, simple but to the fullest. In true Paul fashion, even in his passing, he gave the most selfless gift. Because of his generosity and donating his organs, 3 families now have the miracle of prolonged life. This is the kind of person Paul always was, giving and always thinking of others. He was one of a kind, and he'll always be missed more than words can say. Rest easy, Uncle Paul, we love you.
I don't know if you always had the last word, but today, Vesna, you do. So I'd like to invite you to come forward to share with us your tribute.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming today. Your love for my Paul, it just means well to me. I have just few words to say, and they're all just to my darling Paul. My darling Paul, it broke my heart to lose you, but you didn't go alone. A part of me went with you. Special memories of you will always be with me. If only I could have you back, that we could sit, hold hands and talk, just like we used to do. The fact that you are no longer here will always cause me pain, but you are forever in my heart until we meet again. Life can never, ever be the same. Love you and miss you, my darling Paul. Thank you.
Well, I sat down the other day with Vesna and with Sam and we had a chat. I said, how would you describe Paul? He said he was a funny man with a dry sense of humour, a man who loved to joke and to have a laugh, a hard worker providing for his family. They said he was a good cook. His marinated baked lamb in the Weber and his zombie eggs for his daughters were amongst his specialties. There were lots of family holidays when the girls were young, and with Vesna they would holiday wherever it was hot. Far North Queensland, Darwin, Bali for almost every year and staying there for a month at a time. They even lived in Bali for almost 6 months and in the Philippines for 2. A Sharkies fan, a man who loved a smoke and a beer. the beach, and just laying in the sun or going for a swim. He knew everyone. And that's pretty evident today because I know that there are at least 400 people here today to say their goodbyes. Very social. A man who loved his music, and that love was very broad, everything from Aussie rock to Lenny Kravitz, from blues to rock, real music he called it. None of this doof-doof stuff. You know, he was a true Aussie. You think about it. Loved a beer, loved to smoke, loved the footy. Most importantly, though, he loved his family and his friends, his partner Vesna, his daughters Bianca, Samantha, Alicia, their partners Ida and Terry, his 5 grandchildren Cooper, Carter, Mila, Lando and Levi, his 4 sisters and his 2 brothers, Kerry, Sue, Greg, Chris, Catherine and Kylie, as well as their partners, his nieces, his nephews, Vesna's son Nick, his Nick's wife Lindsay, and you, his many, many friends. You know, he obviously loved and cared for all of you just as you loved and cared for him, because you wouldn't be here otherwise. It's just a mark of respect. You know, don't fear to shed those tears. It just shows how much Paul or how much Juddy was loved and how much he's going to be missed. Those tears are a mark of respect. But as was said earlier on by Kath, you know, you need to make sure that you show those people that mean the most to you how much they are loved and how much they mean to you while you're here on earth and able to do so. You know, you all have your own memories of Paul. You all shared different parts of his life. So I'd like to ask you now to take this opportunity and reflect upon those times you shared together. And we'll now have a photo presentation.
Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the park. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do. Cause in the sky full of stars, I think I saw you.
Let us bow our heads and pray. I invite you to join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. You know, the event of death, it has a way of uniting us that perhaps no other human experience does. And it reminds us of the fragile nature of our relationships. It reminds us of the special and unique way in which we relate to those people who cross our pathways in life. And I believe that reflecting on our past, our history, brings knowledge, comfort, and a sense of identity. This celebration of Paul's life, this celebration of Juddy's life, it's not meant as a goodbye. You see, for you it should be a thank you. Thank you to Juddy for all those memories. And a thank you for his love, for his laughter, for his friendship. But most importantly, it should be a thank you to Paul Juddy Judd just for being himself. Because he leaves this world a far richer place than he found it. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that can, will you please stand? Now, I'm going to send you all down to the Caringbah Hotel, to the function room, to be together and to share your memories and your stories, and that's where some of the healing will start. Look, we could have probably had 20 or 30 people today getting up to speak, but we're going to give you that opportunity when you get down to Caringbah Hotel to talk and share those memories openly with everybody. Thank you all for being here, but most importantly, thanks for being a part of Paul's life. Very shortly, I'm going to invite family members to come up with our roses to say goodbyes. But before we do, for those of us inside the chapel and those of you, the many of you that are outside the chapel, I want you to all put your hands together for the life of Paul Judd. We've got one more song to play as we leave. We're going to absolutely crank this up so that we know that we're on our way down to Caringbah, please.
Tell me, what does it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Tell me, what do you do up in heaven? Are your days filled with love and light? Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy, more alive? 'Cause since you left. And here on earth, everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels, I know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels, I know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Since you arrived.
We will fly way up high where the cold wind blows, or in the sun, laughing, having fun with all the people that she knows. And if the situation should keep us separated, you know the world won't fall apart. And you will free the beautiful bird that's caught inside your heart. Can't you hear her? She cries so loud, that's the wild note over water and cloud. That's the way it's gonna be, little darling. We'll be riding on the horses, yeah, yeah. Way up in the sky, little darling. And if you fall, pick you up, pick you up. You will grow, and until you go, I'll be right there by your side. And even then, whisper the wind, and she will carry up your right. I hear all the people of the world in one bird's lonely cry. See them trying every way they know how to make their spirit fly. Can't you see him? He's down on the ground, so broken wing, looking all around. That's the way it's gonna be, little darling. You go riding on the horses, yeah, yeah. Way up in the sky, little darling. Oh, and if you fall, pick you up, pick you up. That's the way it's gonna be, little darling.
it look like in heaven? Is it peaceful? Is it free like they say? Does the sun shine bright forever? Have your fears and your pain gone away? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Tell me, what do you do up in heaven? Are your days filled with love and light? Is there music? Is there art and invention? Tell me, are you happy, more alive? 'Cause here on earth it feels like everything good is missing since you left. And here on earth everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. I hope you're dancing in the sky. And I hope you're singing in the angels' choir. I hope the angels know what they have. I bet it's so nice up in heaven since you arrived. Since you arrived.
We will fly, we'll high, where the cold wind blows, or in the sun, laughing, having fun with all the people that she knows. And if the situation should keep us separated, you know the world won't fall apart. And you will free the beautiful bird that's caught inside your heart. Can't you hear her? She cries so loud as to why and